police, you know what I mean? Like, and then I would get in so much trouble because I could.
Yeah, I can see. I would imagine you would have been pretty crazy to hang out with.
I can run on barely using my brain because I've done it for a really long time.
Yeah, it just makes you look crazy.
Yeah.
So people don't want to question you.
I'm done with that. I'm gonna come out and tell you something.
Really
I'm gonna confess something.
What?
That I haven't said. Talked to my therapist yesterday, and I actually ratted myself out for drinking. After that, I went on a vacation. Yeah, but I'm not supposed to do it on the radio. But he talked to me about a pill that you can take, because he said if you're serious, there's a way we can do it. And I'm like, okay, well then I'm serious because I think I've had enough. And he said there's a pill you can take that if you drink,
you get sick.
You get real sick, violently vomit and shit yourself.
There is,
and I was like, that'll do it.
And there's one of those. I actually took one once.
And it doesn't make you drowsy, and you can still live your life. So
it was for
I'm doing it.
Not drinking.
Yeah, that's called Suboxone. That makes you fucked up.
No tricks on it.
Oh, okay.
Suboxone is different.
Suboxone
is something you take on a regular basis that keeps you from getting
high. But you're kind of high though on it though.
No, I don't remember.
You're not?
Ever? Yeah, I tried.
I for some reason thought that Artie Lang was on it. He was like always falling asleep, but I think he was falling asleep just because he was lying. And he was actually still on heroin.
Well, that's the thing. It doesn't do anything. So just like methadone, you keep trying to. You're doing both, double fisting it. You know.
Oh, okay. You know, I think that's the thing I got, because I got tons of panic attacks and stuff, and then I got put on antidepressants and like a anti-panic pill. So then, guess what? I'm okay. I can drink again. Because if I had a drink, it would make me panic. And now I'm like, dude, you can't. You're getting, like, just because you take that.
All these different degrees of denial.
I'm not here. Yeah. Seriously. I'm constantly running.
All right, let's change the subject.
What? Okay. You got music. I
don't want to talk about music either. I got rehearsal today and going on the road.
I get that. Ricky Carmichael doesn't want to talk about motocross.
Yeah,
this is music. You're wearing a Rose Tattoo shirt. Not a lot of people remember Rose Tattoo.
I play him all the time.
Yeah, big fan of Rose Tattoo.
Do you know Angry Anderson?
Yes, I do.
Of course you do.
He came to our gig in Australia just recently. He's such a sweet.
You saw Angry Anderson recently?
Yeah.
How is he?
He's great. I see him every time.
Is he healthy?
He's very healthy.
He'd have to be sober, right?
Yeah, he's sober. He's very. You know, he's been running for office over there. He's like a big
for prime minister or something.
Not prime minister. I forgot what it was, but it's not prime minister.
Oh God, we've got to get behind him from here. I have to help him.
He just stopped. He just quit because he said that he was having he had too much going on in his family and things that he wanted to focus on. And
is he known as Angry Anderson in Australia still?
I still call him Angry. I don't know what everybody else calls him. I'm sure they weren't calling him angry when he was running for office.
No.
Right? Are you sure?
I'm thinking it'd be bumper stickers saying "Vote Angry."
Vote Angry.
Yeah.
He's such a straight up great guy.
He always seemed like the coolest dude to me. He was on TV, Michael, and he was in a pretty gnarly band. Yeah. And for some reason, there wasn't very many people that were entertaining. But his band, and he would always get to talk. He would always, and then Australia caught on that he was a character, and then he was just Angry Anderson. Yeah. He was in, Rose Tattoo was an awesome band.
Yeah. Well, they still like get together and play.
They do.
Yeah. He was talking about going out on the road. I guess it was next year.
I would kill to go to a Rose Tattoo concert. Yeah.
We played with them a couple times.
That makes sense. That makes perfect sense. Yeah. You guys were.
We covered one of their songs. We did Nice Boys Don't Play Rock and Roll.
Which is one of the two songs that I play here all the time. They're in heavy rotation considering that they haven't had a new song for 40 years.
Which is the other one?
Rock and Roll Outlaw.
Okay. That's fitting.
Yeah, those guys are sweet.
Yeah.
So what else?
Let's see. I got. I don't have really much to promote. I got a new.
You do so, dude.
Huh?
Yeah, you're back into the horror movies. That's cool.
I just wanted to come hang out because I saw you on your birthday last time, and whenever I come to LA just for a minute, I usually come here.
Yeah, you're good. I like you, dude.
So what's this movie going to be all about?
It's going to be a fucking horror movie, right?
I can't tell you. It's a horror movie, and it's called The Hell Within. Mm-hmm. And the writer, usually I like to come up with my own ideas, but I was like, how can I describe this movie without giving away the plot and so on? Keep the mystique about it. And he goes, well, I've been calling it Rosemary's Baby in the Jungle. I was like, that's pretty cool.
I love Rosemary's Baby.
But it's really great. The script is great. The team that we're working with. I got Greg Nicotero's doing the special effects, his team, and yeah, so I'm stoked about it. So we started shooting this summer in July.
Are you in it?
No.
Why don't you make a cameo? You could die.
Well, all things considered, I'd have to get dressed up as a South American village denizen because it's all in the jungle.
You could do that. I feel like you could play that role.
I could, actually.
You could totally pull that off.
I'd actually relish it. I'd get in a loincloth and grab some snakes and run around the bush.
Oh, what are you doing?
You're making
I'll never come home.
You got, what is this electronic thing that makes sure you get a mini Marshall stack? I don't know.
No,
that's I want to know that because if I can do that in my, is it like on my computer?
It's not a stack. It's a loudspeaker. You plug your computer or your phone or something like that. It's just a really great sounding loudspeaker.
My phone into my guitar.
Do you have music on your phone?
Yeah.
Okay, so you plug it into the speaker.
Oh, okay. Now I get it. No, I thought it was like a guitar, like a mini amp.
No. Okay,
I can't read, dude. I just sort of get like a.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Speaking of movie cameos, I just noticed this morning, so you were coming by. I didn't realize you made a cameo in a Dirty Harry movie.
That was, the only full band Guns N' Roses cameo.
It said in the description.
Oh yeah, and what am I talking? I fucking completely know that. It was
Deadpool.
a dude who did a fake Axel, and I love that movie. I saw that. Man, I remember that like yesterday.
You know who the fake Axel was?
Yeah.
Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Jim Carrey was in it, and then also, what's the big Irish guy?
Liam Neeson.
So that was like before anybody knew either one of those guys, and then there was us. And it was fun, but we went, it was in San Francisco, and the whole band showed up for the graveyard scene, and then we partied our asses off over at the Mitchell Brothers place, the Farrell Theater, one of the best strip bars in the country.
Was Clint Eastwood there?
No. He wasn't.
You're not allowed to say if he was there anyway.
And then and then Steven OD'd that night, and the next day we showed up on the set, and there was only 3 of us. Steven was in the hospital, and I don't know where Axel was.
Wait.
So, but they let me shoot off a real whale harpoon.
I was looking for that clip online. I read that. Yeah, cool.
I mean, it was just one of those feelings of like, because I didn't have anybody assisting me or taking it out of my hands in between shots or anything. So like, I just had full reign with this thing. I could take anybody out with it. Yeah.
Did you point it at anybody?
I thought about it.
So you're a dude. It is a tempting thing to do, just to be funny.
Yeah.
So what do you OD on heroin? Was it on heroin then, or?
No, it was. I think it was methaqualone.
People were doing a lot of meth back then.
Methaqualone is different. It's like, shit. I can't even remember now. It's got quaalude in it, so it puts you out.
Oh, but you said it's methaqualone.
I don't think it has any. I don't think it has.
Oh, it doesn't have speed in it. It just says that word.
Yeah.
So it's like
I'm trying to remember. I mean.
A drowsy drug.
Yeah, and basically him and this girl, both of them, we found him. We couldn't find him, and then we found him in his room, but we couldn't get his room. We had to get the room opened up, and they were both naked on the floor, just passed out. And we couldn't revive them, and so then we had to get the paramedics and all that kind of stuff. So whatever it is,
they
it's
both
pretty
lived,
strong.
Obviously,
yeah,
for that one.
That's nuts. I know. You'd known him for a really long time. Like not since you were kids, but
since we were 14.
It's got to be wild to know somebody when they're still at the edge of like almost being a child, and then all of a sudden you know them when they're the guy that you got to bust in their hotel room.
Well, we did a lot of that kind of stuff together.
Oh, stand corrected.
You got to have a manager that's pretty. He's a little bit like a MacGyver back then, right?
I don't think our manager was there at the time, or was he? No, he was in town, but he wasn't.
Saved yourselves
privy to this event.
Oh, would you have been in trouble with your manager when?
Get in trouble.
Right, that's what I figured. Everyone goes fuck themselves. So who?
You know what happened to me when I would get like what you call in trouble?
Yes,
they would trick me into going to the office or something and get me into a car and ship me off to some exile somewhere.
What do you mean exile?
Like Hawaii or some other dull place where I just
like trick you into a vacation that
nothing going on. Yeah,
so,
keep me out of town for 2 weeks.
Would they leave you with an alcohol on the island? Or?
Yeah, that's the thing I didn't get. You take me, get me to go to Maui, right, and like chill out for a while, which is impossible. So then I find a liquor store, and then I destroy the hotel, and and then I almost got my ass kicked one time by some big Samoan guy because
Yeah.
I smashed all this glass all out the porch of the. It was like a what do you call it? A bungalow kind of thing.
In your room, you
Just
smashed
big,
all the glass off
outward,
everywhere.
out into the.
Oh,
outside. Out where
outside.
everybody walks around.
Were you drunk and angry at that point, or we were just like, fuck
Drunk,
yes?
angry, bored, all the combination thereof.
Like, bored as in, I really want to know in the mind where you're like, I'm fucking bored. Are you by yourself completely, or do you have anybody hanging?
I shipped a girl in from Canada.
Okay, so you got a girl, and you're drinking, and you're like, fucking man, motherfuckers won't even let me go back. Well, then fuck you. And you know what would be pretty funny? I seem to be pissing some people off by breaking some shit. What about I just go whoosh, and then all that shit goes off?
Yeah, I don't know how conscious, like, what you're saying, like, if that was really going through my mind. I think it was just sort of something you do.
Did you have because after doing this a lot, would you have like a certain way you would speak to the security? Like, I would always assume someone's coming to say, hey man, we've heard some disturbances. What's your response?
Because there were bungalows outside, it wasn't the same kind of deal where you have a bunch of people close to you in the room next to you in a hall. Yeah. So no one really said anything until I did have the one hotel guy come and I was very rude to him.
Okay, so you're angry at everybody. You're not like, look, man, I'm just trying to piss off everybody else.
That was our manager's version of being in trouble, of us being in trouble, or at least for me.
That was one of the things I always thought when I was a kid. Slash would be the champion of a hotel room. Like I believe he lived in them at one point and enjoyed them the most out of everybody else.
I still do.
So you would, because I love hotels. My chick always says, "What's your fucking deal?" I'm like, look, if I had all the money, I would just stay at them all the time. I love it.
Before I got married, and even after I got married, I would come home from the road and just check into a hotel here in LA. Just
how does your wife at the time roll with?
Eventually, I stopped doing it.
What? Because you get in trouble?
Yeah.
Did you call? Would you call from the hotel that hey, I'm in a hotel, or does she not even know you're back?
It would take a few days before she would know I was back. But,
somebody would tell her.
I would have to acclimate to being in town, and then eventually.
Your excuse was to acclimate. Do I sound like your ex-wife right now? You need to acclimate, do you? Yeah. For 3 days.
I mean, even now, like I'll come home with a suitcase, right? I put it in the middle of the bedroom on the floor, open it up, and I just live out of that until it's empty, and then put it away. And she's just like, come on. And I'm like, no, it works. I don't even have to open the drawer.
It does work. I can see how you've been pulling it off. Man, that's kind of a hard person to live with style right there, dude. That's a gnarly one. Acclimating. What was that movie I saw the other day where the sniper guy called and he'd come back from war and he was at a bar and she's like, where are you? And he's like, I'm here.
Sniper.
Yeah, American Sniper. And I'm like, his reasons were a hell of a lot
probably
different than...
Probably made more sense.
Yeah, like he was, he can't live with himself. You were like, I don't want to live with you. I'm having a good time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it wasn't necessarily... I mean, what would happen is you get home to LA and it's really hard to fucking slow. That was always the biggest problem for me. It was like I was always pretty self-contained on the road. I was pretty, even keeled and whatnot.
Okay.
But as soon as I get home, the pace of doing those shows and the adrenaline and doing all that for a year and a half, 2 years straight, you get home and it's really hard to wind down to what normal people pace is.
Oh, okay.
And so
so a lot of people come at you when you get home too?
It has nothing to do with them. It just has to do with myself. Where you just like gotta sort of slow your roll, so to speak.
Because you're just on a... You just play at night, you go to, like, it's planes, play...
And you have a routine as well. Everything just basically stops. 24 hours after the last show, you're like, okay, now what the fuck? And it takes a while before you can sort of feel normal.
So you would feel normal in front of a sea of people. That's your normal, and now you're...
And being on buses and planes and just going from city to city.
It's just one after another of the same thing.
I can do it, I mean, this last run that we just did, it was like 20 some odd shows in 50 days. 4 continents.
Yeah.
And so at that point, physically, you're just like, okay, at the end of it, you're like, I need to chill. But if you're doing a couple months in the States and you're just driving around on a bus, you can do that indefinitely.
Are you like, do you have to eat differently or anything?
When you get home?
No. Like, do you like get like a different, like when you go to different countries and shit?
Well, you just have to eat. You just sort of eat whatever.
Is it the same places that you always go to, so you know the same restaurants every country you go to?
In some cases, yeah, but in a lot of cases, you're just looking for the nearest, quickest thing. So it's not necessarily the healthiest. You try to do your best with it, but you sort of take what you can get.
You're just supposed to be built for it, Michael.
Yeah. Well, and I guess people get used to anything, right? Like, my normal is weird to you and vice versa, right? Like, I get it at 10 o'clock at night, more often than not in your adult life, you've been on stage somewhere. 10 o'clock for me is just like time to scratch my balls and get ready for bed.
Yeah.
It's all a matter of what you're used to.
It'd be hard for me to get up early if I just recently played to a stadium full of people at 1 in the morning. Because that ain't happening to me. I can barely stay up long enough to watch you do it till 1 in the morning. I'm like, man, I know that I'm going to pay tomorrow. Old bastard.
Yeah, but I see you at the motocross events and stuff. If you were doing that if that was your gig, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a similar kind of deal as well. You got to come back after a year of going from city to city and doing these races, and then to come down and just turn the engine off and sort of, it's hard. It takes some work.
Do you go to the supermarket?
Uh-huh.
Do you go by yourself?
I did. I made a mistake recently. I went to the supermarket by myself. In the middle of the night, though.
Like that with
it was a 24-hour house.
Was that oh man, that's barely a supermarket when you go really late. It's kind of when you expect to see Slash in there, quite frankly.
Well, you don't want to go during
You've never gone in the daytime.
I have, but
because you got divorced, so you got to do a little.
Yeah, well, and I've got to.
Because I recently got divorced, and I was
going to ask you, are you still with? Yeah.
No, I'm divorced. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But I had to do the. I mean, I remember
I've
I've been to the supermarket a million times, but I hadn't been to the supermarket before to stock my house where nobody else lives before. That was the. You know what I mean? Because I got home and I'm like, oh fuck, like toilet brushes.
Yeah, the buck stops with you. If you don't get it, it won't be there.
That's a whole new conversation. Because I after however many years it's been, like 18 years, moved into a new place and had to furnish it. Had to get all the bathroom and kitchen implements and all this different stuff.
Right.
And but I actually enjoyed doing it. It was because it was the first time in a long time where I had to actually do it myself. Somebody else wasn't doing it. So I was going to the store and I was still doing my laundry. And
you were moving in by yourself?
No, I still have a girlfriend.
Did she help pick stuff for that house?
No, because we did it together.
But you do laundry?
I do.
You sort? Well, everything you have is black, right?
Everything I have goes in. Listen, nothing's complicated. When I do the dishes, it's a couple cups and a couple plates.
I get that. So you didn't make it. So you didn't, because it would have been different to start the house as single Slash.
I'd be in a hotel.
Oh wow.
Checked into a hotel indefinitely, probably.
Okay, now that. Oh yeah, that's a smart move, I guess.
Because I would have had to. I think I was more motivated because I was with somebody. If it was just me by myself, it might have taken me a while to get around to that.
Okay.
Like 10 years or something.
So you think you're more grown up now that you're divorced, or you're exactly the same?
It's pretty much the same.
I feel like that's just nobody makes you do anything. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. I feel like you got like it's like a little bit of a hall pass. I mean, with women, they don't challenge you. You always win.
Oh, there's always no. Don't kid yourself. Girls are, women are challenging in themselves.
So maybe you're just better at talking to them or something, or convincing them of things.
No, you know what it is. For the most part, my habits are pretty easy as far as like, my domestic sort of like I'm considerate. I don't leave I'm not a slob. I'm pretty neat,
Okay.
you know, when it comes to house stuff. And so, you know, I'll make the bed. I don't care, you know. So I'm not that, and they know who I am as far as, you know, as a musician, what to expect on certain levels. I'm not as bad as all that. So
I don't think you're bad. I didn't mean to say that. I just meant it seems like the girls end up going, well, okay, and I'm like, I can't make it. I can't make somebody agree to that. I feel like maybe now I can, but that's one person ever in my life. I feel like you've made tons of girls agree to stuff that might not be exactly their lifestyle.
Well, yeah, just my lifestyle in general doesn't necessarily fit in with their lifestyle. You know what I mean? So I think that in itself is pretty trying.
You must be very convincing.
I have no comment. I have no perspective to give you an answer.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So do you think there would come a time, like obviously you're responsible to your kids and stuff, but when they're up and out, would you ever just Willie Nelson it or Grateful Dead and just get on a tour bus and just drive around America for the rest of your life?
I pretty much did that with the whole front end of my life anyway. At this point, if there was nobody to answer to, no, I've done that. You just have, eventually you got to come back and go, okay, you know, you got to face reality of some sort of home base. You know.
Would you want like
you get crazy and then you end up being a drug addict for a really long time.
Could you live on acres of land?
No, I couldn't. Out in the country?
Yeah.
There's no way.
Like what about what is it called? Like where you're
I
self-contained.
can't even live in Calabasas.
You could live in
I
Calabasas.
can't. I mean, that's close, and I can't deal with that. That's too far away.
You don't like backyards?
I mean, a backyard is good as long as there's a city behind it.
You're a cat person or a dog person?
Cat person.
Are you friends with
I
dogs?
like dogs. Though.
Okay.
Yeah, I like animals.
Like Michael doesn't. Michael likes dogs, but Michael thinks
A
dogs
lot
should
of-
not be allowed on a plane. What do you think, Slash?
Well, I mean, if they got to go with you somewhere, they got to go.
What about if it's bullshit? It makes me not have a panic attack dog.
Well, that's usually the excuse that people use to get their dogs.
Right.
Increasing
Pointed
more
with
and
me.
more
Yeah,
and more
I
and
mean,
more.
there's a lot of bullshit that goes on with that. I tend to not agree with, you know, taking your poodles and stuff with you on, you know, if there's not a real serious reason. I mean, if you're relocating for the rest of your life, then you got to do it again.
Different
But
story.
if the dog has to go with you everywhere you go, you know, it's like, especially if it's a dog that barks on the plane all the time.
Well,
That's ridiculous.
Especially, I'm back in coach, and if I got the middle seat, I have precious amount of personal space to begin with, and I don't love sharing it with another human that I don't know.
Right.
To share it a little more of it even with a dog.
Yeah, but then maybe they should start having baby screening too to see how that's gonna, you know, how well your kids travel. Because I mean, we get on planes with kids running up and down the aisles and this, that, and the other. Is anybody, you know, chaperoning these kids or what's? I mean, that's worse than the dogs.
You can't say anything, but everybody knows a bad parent in a plane. Everybody knows when the kid is running up and down and there's no parent that's like
We had that recently. That's
you
why
got to
it's
pick
fresh
them up.
on.
You got to
There
work
was
with them.
4 of them, and they were all in the same part of the same group.
Right, and
they
they're
were
just
climbing
flying
over
around.
chairs and the whole nine.
Yeah, see, they can't. I would never let my kids do that in a plane.
And there was probably a dog under the seat. I didn't check.
I'm sure, but there's no.
They should have dog seats.
There's no baby kennel. You can't. It's not an option to leave your baby at home. It's illegal. You go to jail if you do that.
You know I'm kidding, right? I'm just saying. Since
Yeah.
you're talking about dogs in such a harsh manner as they catch blood dogs travel, then you might put kids in the same category for the same reasons as dogs tend to make you feel.
Sure.
Yeah.
I feel especially here in Los Angeles, there's this culture of like dogs are slowly but surely. I feel like I'm expected to respect people's dogs as if they were humans.
Yeah.
I think it's okay if the dog pays for the exact same price for the seat,
Oh, I wouldn't have a problem with that.
and he gets
We do that
TV
with
and
guitars
dog
sometimes.
treats. What?
We do that with guitars sometimes.
Your guitar gets a seat?
If we can't put it on the overhead or find a closet.
Does it get a
Some
first
small
class
planes
seat?
won't do it. No, those planes don't even have classes. They're just what do they call those? You know, like a South by Southwest, but on an international. You know, like city to city in certain countries.
I know what you
They have
mean.
Small planes.
Like EasyJet's one of the big
Yeah.
companies that does it.
But
So
like,
it's
you're going-
actually in the seat?
yeah.
Did you ever do it?
Seatbelt it down because I don't want to put it in baggage because it got fucked up.
Who's sitting next to it? Is it ever a person that
Usually-
doesn't know?
No, I don't think that's
Doesn't
happened.
know the guitar?
Usually me or somebody in the
Okay.
entourage.
But I'm like sitting there and I'm like, man, I'd be pumped because I'm like, wait, that's Slash's guitar. This is pretty sweet. I'm in coach with Slash's guitar. Would you like a peanut, Slash's guitar?
I'm sitting in between Slash's guitar and a Great Dane.
The perfect world. So you got headphones on because you can take a phone call.
Oh, yeah?
It worked out.
Right.
Steve, you're on with Slash.
Someone who's got 5 kids and 6 dogs likes to travel with. Yeah. God, I'd like to think I would have some sort of advice on that. I mean, for me, you know, I jam a lot. And I jam with different people a lot. And if you're sitting in a live situation or maybe in the studio with somebody doing a session, you have to man up. You have to sort of bring something to the table, and that forces you to have to, you know, do it by the seat of your pants, and it really helps a lot. That you should do, because if you're sitting at home just playing solos, you know, I mean, it doesn't really do that much for you. At least it doesn't do it for me. It's like if I'm at home practicing, after about 20 minutes, if I'm not working on a song or working on a riff or writing, if I'm just doing solos, 20 minutes is about the max for me doing just that. Yeah, because solos need to be an accompaniment. Yeah. Oh, well, that's
Maybe you could
different.
crash your
No,
BMX.
if it's like learning, you know, if there's solos that you want to learn, or I mean, there's some great exercises and stuff to learn just to get your chops down, and then you just have to put the work in.
Yeah.
So. Or you can go online and try and find techniques and this and that you've never explored before, and just look for things to teach yourself to sort of grow as a player and learn some, you know, new stuff. There's definitely ways of combating that.
There's gotta be.
Yeah.
When I was a kid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You just have to go looking for other stuff to do.
Good luck, dude.
Good talking to you. That's a good question.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I felt like there were like 10, 15 guys, and everybody knew their name who like sincerely really shredded, you know. And nowadays, I feel like every other band has a guy that
thousands
knows it.
and thousands of them.
And they're not just practicing harder.
There's a lot of stuff going on with all these different sort of techniques, and shredders have had. It reminds me a lot of freestyle BMXing and motocross and skateboarding, where it's just like taking it to the next level of just technique and
It has to.
skill, and it gets pretty fucking out there. You know?
I think that's really cool because I'm not good enough at playing music to know how. I'm like, well, I guess that sounds different than any other lead break. I can't tell you whether it's harder or not, but it's good to hear that people are evolving in music as well. Because I thought I did some radio interview yesterday for some car thing. Someone said, "Did you think you'd be here in radio?" And I was like, I don't know. I remember in skateboarding there was a time where the certain amount of tricks I knew the next fantasy tricks could never be done. It was just a fantasy to make a joke about it. And now there's 14-year-olds that are doing way more than that fantasy trick that I made a joke about.
Yeah.
So and I'm not fucking 80. So if you can evolve that much in that amount of time, like which I would say was 20, 30 years
30
skateboarding,
years,
30 years, and in another 30 years,
Well, I think
everybody has to jump.
In a lot of ways, especially guitar, but probably drums and other instruments as well, where they've just sort of transcended all that stuff and just come up with all kinds of. I know in guitar because I see these guys all the time, and some of it's really cool. My problem with it is it usually lacks any kind of emotion whatsoever.
Right.
It's all technique. So
I think with that, sorry to break in right there, but if you keep practicing this speed, all I want to do is be super technical and super fast to the point where it becomes not so difficult for them to do it, that they can actually put their soul in it as well. Because I feel like in skateboarding and snowboarding, spin to win, spin, to the point where I'm like, I don't even fucking care anymore. All you guys do is just try to spin as many times every wall and flip as many times as you wall. In guitar, all you want to do is go as faster than anyone's ever gone before and make the fucking chunkiest chunk you've ever done. But eventually, some of those dudes are gonna start doing those. To me, in skateboard version, like a 1080. Some of these dudes are gonna start doing 1080s and they're gonna lean back and make them look good, because it's not gonna be this unbelievable, almost impossible feat.
Yeah. Right. That's what I was.
I think it's like anything else. You can mix technique with just your sort of natural style and be able to you can find different techniques from listening to people and pick up on them and actually put it into your own playing, but it sort of happens naturally because you know it, and then when you're doing your soloing or whatever, it actually implement it.
Right.
It just happens. That's what I'm into. I like that.
Yeah, I'm all with you. I was because Tully knows more about guitar, and he's like, I'm telling you, man, there's new guys that can just go 100 miles an hour. And I don't even know who they are, and I'm like, well. The speed thing ended with Slayer to me. I remember, I was really into Metallica, and my friend was like, "This is the fastest song ever recorded." I'm like, "The fastest, you say? We're racing each other now." Because I remember it was like, "This is the heaviest song," and I'm like, "Well, bullshit," because this is the heaviest song. And then you play them next to each other, and it's pretty fucking over real quick which one's heavier. And then this thing where I remember a skateboarder telling me the speed. Raining Blood is the fastest, and I don't even think it really is. It's just bullshit that he told me that, and I remember thinking, I don't necessarily need to go the fastest. I think I was, because I'm into winning, and so like I think my music selections was Metallica's like one of the most powerful, fastest. I don't fucking know. Oh, I heard that Aerosmith's the loudest band in the world. They're pretty good to me, cool to me. Then I could be fooled by that bullshit, right. And then after paying my rent, then I'm like, yeah, if you don't have the toss, that's what I call it, if you don't have your style and the passion come out of it, then it's just math metal.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's why I always loved my favorite shredder guy, who I could never play half his stuff, was Nuno Betancourt from Extreme. As fast as he played out, you always knew it was Nuno.
Right.
And I thought that was so cool. And I think that's exactly
the thing
what you're talking about.
is to have a personality,
right?
An individual personality in what it is that you do, whether it's fast or slow or whatever the deal is. But be yourself and express yourself as an individual in your music and whatever else you do.
Well, I can see it in what you do, dude. That's for sure. It worked out really well for you because I feel like your passion and your style and the way... I mean, you're one note from people that don't even know how to play guitar, know what you are. And music is really... That's what it is, the feeling and the emotion. So all you're giving us is feeling and emotion. If you don't go 100 miles an hour every song, nobody gives two shits about that. That's how it worked out. Because music is... way more that I see a lot more progression in music these days, which you're right, the passion, I mean the soul of it is getting squeezed out, but I think they can both evolve and come together. With skateboarding, I in my heyday decided that I was just soul. I do not need to spin, I do not need to flip for you fuckers. I am going to work on doing like the solidest 180s you've ever seen, and they scored me low and I've kind of lost my job and had to get into radio. So it backfired on me. I didn't. This wasn't my time to be that guy.
When you have those skating contests and whatnot, it is all about whatever new techniques and mixing them up and
I've noticed in skateboarding now, there's guys that are they can both do pretty much the same stuff. One guy looks better.
Yeah.
He gets scored more. They're still counting it. Yep.
All that stuff.
They still count it.
You mentioned Metallica. Did you hear Kirk Hammett was saying that he lost his phone and he had like 250 new riffs in it, and he didn't back it up? And he said he thinks he can remember 8.
No, that sounds about right. I used to write stuff and not record it at all, and just keep it in my head for a year until the tour was over, and then see how many. I figured, well, if it was memorable enough, I'll still remember.
Jeff Beck said the exact thing. Yeah. He said he never tried to write stuff down. He said, if it's good, I'll remember it.
Yeah, exactly. But at this point, all things considered, because I do most of my writing on tour, and you playing every single night, and you might have come up with something really great. Go out and do a show and play 2 hours worth of shit and mix that up in your head, and you never get it right. So I've put stuff on my phone too, and I should back it up more often.
Kirk's sending a positive message to Slash. Good to see that
I really
this wasn't
should.
a complete
I
fail.
got a thing on my phone too that says I haven't backed it up in 6 weeks.
Come on, man. We need those riffs. Don't give up. We need your riffs.
You're putting out a DVD in a couple of months, live from the Roxy. That's really cool that it's a LA club show.
Yeah, we did 3 of them last September. Troubadour, which was a gas because I haven't played there since. I jammed with Cypress Hill there once a few years ago, but other than that, I hadn't played there since the '80s. And then a Whiskey and a Roxy. We recorded the Roxy gig, and it's basically coming out. I think it was on TV for a second, but it was like maybe a quarter of the whole show. So
do you miss at all like what the Strip was like? Because I can't tell. It seemed so cool from where I was sitting as a kid in New Jersey, but there was obviously a pretty heavy cheese factor.
Well, the thing about the thing about the Strip at this point is there's no real movement going on. I don't mean in terms of like people walking up and down the street, but like a music movement. And when I was a kid, when I first actually came to America, we lived in West Hollywood, and that was the whole '70s music scene, and then it went from the '70s to the '80s, so it was always really vibrant. So it's sort of sad to sort of just see it sort of languishing there. But all things considered, I don't miss the sort of '80s trip that was going on, but you got to give it something because it was at least was something happening.
Yeah, right. And there's that movie, Decline of the Western Civilization, which I think perfectly probably captures what was cool about it and what was
the second one or the first one?
The second one.
The first one's great.
The punk one, yeah.
But the second one's embarrassing.
See, I didn't know that. I was watching it going, I got to get on a bus and move right out there.
Right.
I didn't know it was supposed to be making all those bands look bad.
See, I'm a little bit older than you. I knew that.
Yeah.
It didn't. I was just glad we weren't in it.
Looked like it could have been fun though for a certain few.
It had some great moments here and there, but as overall, I think that the sort of LA '80s scene was a little overly flamboyant, and self-involved.
So when something happens real big and fast, it's sort of that's why I never blame like young kids for being egotistical when they get famous. I'm like, you're a little kid and everybody starts blowing you up. You're just a human. You just started reacting weird because everyone blows smoke up your ass. It's like if a big thing gets big fast, everyone's like, we're a part of the most special thing in the world, which allows me to be the biggest cocksucker that ever lived. And then everyone just is on the tip. I remember when skateboarding and ramps were cool. People walked around when you're a ramp skater with a different ego. Right. Even when they became giants at skateboarding and it wasn't cool to be a vert skater, they walked differently. You realized that you were just another guy. Yeah, sure, you're pretty good at skateboarding, but there's no need to get ahead of yourself. Yeah. Like that. But at first, it was, like it's Christian Asori. Christian Asori was an egotistical bastard. He used to wear lycra pants on a skateboard ramp. And I'm like, dude, if you fall and your butt hits the ramp, you're naked. And that's how good he was. He never fell off with his lycra pants on.
He wasn't just good, he was lycra good.
Yeah. And then he got into crystal meth. Not so good. But then God saved his life. Amen.
Happy ending. I know we have to let Slash
Yeah, we
go.
do. Slash.
What time is it? I was just enjoying this. Oh, yeah, I guess so.
Thanks for being on the show. I'm glad everything's going well for you.
I'm glad everything's going well for you, too.
I know, right? Things are great.
Yeah.
My friend said to me the other day, my boxing trainer, he goes, I get up in the morning, I love peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. They make me happy, man. I put the peanut butter on one bit, I put it on the ground. I put the jelly on the other bit, I hold it up, I let that shit go, son. And if it lands with the jelly on the peanut butter, today's going to be a good day. I felt like, it was one of the dumbest, saddest theories that I've ever heard of in my life, because I was like, I'm like, dude, it's such a bleak way to look at your life.
You can't make that up unless you actually do it. He must.
No, he does it.
Yeah.
And he came in with on a jelly landing on the peanut butter and was fucking, he's dancing around telling me the story. And I'm like, shit, you're happy.
The thing is, those days when it didn't land right, that's sad. when it just didn't happen, that pretty much set the course of the whole rest of the day.
See, that's what I was trying to tell him. It's not over. Don't give up because the jelly didn't hit the peanut butter.
Grab your washcloth and start cleaning up jelly.
On those days, you don't want to see him because
No, I don't want to fight him those days.
But when they do match up just right and the stars are aligned, fuck, that's a good day.
They're unstoppable. You're going to be on tour all across America pretty much starting in a couple of days. People can get
it's always
dates
back to business with this guy.
at /online.
I think your manager might be pumped on that one.
Yeah.
So.
We're doing the States and we're doing Europe.
Cool.
After that.
All right, dude.
It's gonna be
Good seeing you.
All right, good seeing you too. I'll
We'll
see
be
you guys
back
later. All right.